Hey everybody, hope you're all doing very well out there. For those of you who don't know me or don't know me yet, my name is Nico, aka SonofSelene, formerly known as Scarlet Moon, and in this video I wanted to talk to you about propriety. What is considered conventional or what is considered proper when it comes to giving and receiving any kind of divinatory work. And I've had some questions come up recently about the realm of, say, future predictions, fortune telling, and divination as it relates to astrology, as it relates to tarot, and standards and practices, and ethics, and all of that stuff. Now, for those of you who might be new to me, or maybe new to Integrative Mysticism, or new to my Son of Selene channel, I have been a tarot reader for a very, very long time. I've been in business here on YouTube since 2013. Then I've got my actual spiritual path and spiritual practice and psychic work that I have been working on all my life. This is just my whole world. And over the course of my solitary work and my work with the public, the question of ethics and different trends and fashions and how they kind of influence what is considered the norm or what is proper will come up every now and again. And like I said, I was getting some questions from folks about what's okay, what's not okay, what do you do in this situation, and so on and so forth. So the questions I was getting at first kind of came more about, my analysis or my thoughts about the things certain people were seeing online when it came to tarot. And the question always came back to, are we doing future predictions? Is it okay to do future predictions? Are we fortune tellers? Is that a real thing? Or, are practices like tarot, astrology, runes, or whatever you're working with, any kind of divinatory practice, is it more of an introspective practice? Is it something more geared towards healing? Is it something more geared towards personal development? Is one more proper? Is one less proper? Now, the truth of the matter is that these are all tools. These are all techniques. These are all, arts that we are employing, with the practitioner being the artist. And so you have to keep that in mind first and foremost. For myself, I don't identify as an intuitive or a healer or anything like that. I do not put myself out there for that kind of work. I do accept terms like psychic. I do accept terms like fortune teller because my work astrologically and working with tarot, that all comes down to working with predicting the future. Or sometimes, yes, I am looking into situations in the present, looking into the unseen, uncovering information that needs to come into the light of day to help people there, or even solving puzzles that may be in the past that still affect the present for my querent. So psychic and fortune teller definitely do work with me. I carry a lot of different titles though: spiritual practitioner, magician, which it doesn't matter, right? I mean, if you can't tell, just by looking at just the aesthetic of my channel and, all of my videos between both channels, this is my world. So for me, when I look at things like fortune telling or predicting the future, that is a huge part of what I do. And no, I do not think that fate or the future is ever set in stone. Certainly not. There are certain tides that are stronger than others, right? But we always have free will and agency and have the capacity to take in information and, use our own intelligence to decide how we are going to assess what is coming forward and make our own decisions about what we're going to do with that. And that is a skill. That is a legitimate psychic spiritual ability that a lot of people have. But over the course of the last, short while, kind of going back to about the 1960s, there has been this kind of push to make a lot of these spiritual arts, a lot of these occult arts, and that's what they are, including astrology, more mainstream and more accessible to people. A lot of the more introspective personal development and healing elements of them were, kind of built up as well. And they can be used for that. They can, absolutely. But it all depends, again, it comes back to the artist, it comes back to the skill of the practitioner. Whether or not something is valid or legitimate or it works or it's, ethical, all comes down to the consistency and the efficacy of the practitioner. It used to be, before a lot of that, a lot of this work was used almost exclusively for predicting the future or looking into information that was hidden or uncovering things from the past or doing analyses of different circumstances, events, or charts or things like that. And then the healing and introspection and personal development happened. And then the pendulum kind of swung really hard in that direction when it got really well liked for those uses. And so the divination and the fortune telling and the future predicting, the more magical, the more occult roots of these practices kind of got tamped down a little bit when it came to the public consciousness. Now, the challenge that we're dealing with here is that we don't want to be in a situation where we think that one tool or one thing can only be used for one purpose, right? You, at the end of the day, are the practitioner. You are the psychic. You are the witch. You are the medium, whatever you are doing. And so you are the one who has to know what your skills are. Remember that. This is not some kind of conveyor belt, system where it's like you just hop on one end and you end up at the other with a certificate and a title and an entitlement to, say or do or be this or that. When it comes to the real work and actually being a real psychic or a real spiritual practitioner or a real magical practitioner, it used to be that you would have to do a lot of soul searching on your own, right? That 1 year in a day thing where you would actually be going through your own crucible to do your soul searching and find yourself before you even started the art. Now, I do think that that is something that needs to kind of come back because we do have a lot of unhealthy and very unwell situations and individuals in prominent spaces of influence kind of making a huge mess more and more and more, not only making a mess of the dignity of the art itself, but also doing harm when it comes to other people. And that to me is extremely unethical, and that to me is extremely inappropriate and improper. So, when it comes to deciding whether or not this is legitimate or it's not legitimate or what practice is or isn't legitimate, you need to know yourself and what you're good at and what you can do. I can see the future. I can predict the future. I've been able to do that since I was a little kid. I can talk to spirits. I can talk to ghosts. That I've had that ability on for a long time as well. That was something that developed kind of naturally later in life. That's kind of a bloodline thing. I got that from my biological mother. And I've been at my practice for a very, very long time. I'm a natural witch, and I'm not going to, hide that. And obviously my work is out there for people to see. But I think that what's happening now is that a lot of people are very confused about the propriety and the ethics of it all, because on one end you have the actual art and the practice itself, and then over here you kind of have this sort of warped kind of what is fashionable, what is popular, what's in demand, what do people want to consume. And so because so much of a focus was on the healing and introspective for so long, a lot of people have kind of turned this into craft time at the clinic, and it's not meant to be used so. Even if you're doing it for introspective work or for healing work, you need to actually be on the ball. You need to be a master of this art before you even step into that. And you have absolutely no business, if you want to talk about ethics, you have absolutely no business putting yourself out there as some kind of bootlegged alternative to psychiatric or physical health care. If you don't have the training, you don't have the skill, have absolutely no business doing that. So be careful. If you are going to go into it for a certain purpose, you need to understand that purpose and know why. And also make sure that this is something that you have mastered. You do not want to be a level 1 character in a video game hoping you're going to find yourself in in an end game zone. That is not going to work. You're going to hurt a lot of people, and you are also yourself going to find yourself in some serious messes. And even people who are very practiced and are very skilled can also find themselves in situations where they're the ones who are going to need some serious healing and some serious work done after time spent doing the wrong thing or being forced to entertain the wrong service or the wrong people. I myself have had plenty of discussions with other readers, some well-known, some who've been around as long as I have here on YouTube, and some who are not on YouTube, but they're on like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. And, I've got a bit of a reputation as sort of being the reader's reader. Like, those of you who, may know some other well-known readers, they get readings from me. I'm not going to name drop because I want them to keep coming back because I like them. But I'm the reader's reader, right? I have a reputation as like, look, this is the guy who lives this as his craft. This is not even somebody who gives a crap about trying to be seen as relatable or approachable to the mainstream. He is the crazy wizard on the hill at the edge of town. That is the vibe I want to put out there, because that also conveys the seriousness that I, take when it comes to my work and my practice and the dignity I want to give it. But those readers and I have talked, both in sessions as well as just casually, like texting back and forth and whatnot, about different scenarios, where it's like some serious CPTSD can happen to a reader who ends up being put in the position of, say, being the expected sponsor or therapist or psychologist for a very unwell client that won't leave them alone. Now, in actuality, that situation never should have happened at all. To me, that is what's the most unethical in that kind of situation, whether it was because it was the reader's fault for not shutting it down, or it was the fault of the trendiness, or because of maybe abuse or emotional dysregulation on the part of the client or the person getting the reading. It can be very stressful, and even I've had my own situations like that come up from time to time. You have got to be very clear on who you are and what you're doing. If you are a fortune teller, if you are a medium, if you can predict the future, if you are psychic, own it. Don't let anyone tell you that this is all about healing and introspection, because if the last 5 minutes of me talking haven't painted that picture effectively for you, that can be a very unhealthy place to be sometimes. And the only people who have any business doing that are the people who know that they are healers and that they know that that's what they're putting themselves out there for. And those are the people that have mastered their art and can do a good job and do no harm when they do. If you are a healer and you know it and you're effective and you're trained and you are, you are not a fortune teller, you're not a future predictor, you are not a psychic in that way, and you are not a medium in that way, then it would be very unethical to call yourself such and, claim to be giving predictions and forecasts and things like that, right? It's the same deal. Nobody should be assuming that all psychics and fortune tellers and mediums are healers, and not everyone should be assuming all healers are psychics and fortune tellers and mediums. It's just, that's really what's happening here. The legitimacy getting called into question also comes down to the expectation, the confusion, and the dysfunction of it all. And so that would just be something to think about, as you go on your journey and on your path. I have been a very successful predictor when it comes to all kinds of different readings and all kinds of different situations, predicting things down to the week. That is my skill. That is my art. That is my ability. I think that, yes, and I've noticed this myself, especially over the course of the last couple of years, a lot of what's popular, especially online in the tarot world and the astrology world and the oracle world, seems to still be kind of lingering on to the housebound experience of the pandemic years. People who weren't getting out really weren't interested in looking into the future all that much. Well, some of that, housebound mentality has kind of lingered. And so, sometimes what can happen is that if, the general populace out there, right, just everyday people kind of get the impression that this is all just, again, just sort of a self-help thing, then eventually nobody is going to, remember that there's actually a lot more to this. And so, again, when it comes to ethics, might want to think about that too, right? It's not all about healing. It can't be all about healing. The spiritual path, the spiritual practice of magic, the psychic path, the paranormal, the mystical, the magical, the universe itself, it's like a university. All universities have a hospital and a clinic on campus, sure, but it's an extremely small fraction of that campus, right? It's like 1/20th of the campus. It's not taking up the whole thing. If we spend all of our time, in the clinic, in the hospital, on that campus, we're not getting the experience of actually having a full, complete life. And so I think that what's happening is we're kind of at the cusp of, rejecting maybe the pendulous swing in the direction of everything being all about healing. And so now people are curious about, well, okay, so yeah, it's okay to be a fortune teller. It's okay to be psychic. It's okay to be a medium. It's okay to be magical. This isn't craft time at the clinic. And now we're in a good spot. But it might take a little bit more time for more people to kind of let go of that programming that was so strong for so long, if that makes sense. Just a thought about, if you are going out there and you do want to do this work, make sure that you understand that the propriety of it all, the properness, the appropriateness of it all comes down to you knowing yourself, right? You have to do your own soul searching. Do not offer services while you soul search. Do not charge people money while you find yourself through supposedly doing work for them, whether you're fortune telling or doing divination or doing healing work. That is extremely unethical. Don't go in as the patient posing as the practitioner. Don't go in as the student pretending to be the teacher. You're not going to do a good job, and a lot of problems can come from that. But if you are a fortune teller and if you are a psychic and a true predictor of the future, lean into that. There is nothing unethical or wrong with that. Just make sure that you understand that you're coming into this at a time where some people might not find that all relatable. And, we are kind of coming out of a period over the course of this last few years where the court of public opinion was relatable is better than reliable. That obviously is also another social wound, but own your practice, own your skill. If you are a psychic, if you are a diviner that can see the future, then just be it. Do it. Own your superpower. Don't think you have to dim your light or dumb yourself down or try to meet the expectations of people that are probably not suited to this work or this path, but kind of came here to take from it. Okay? So that is my thought on propriety as far as that topic is concerned. I'll probably come back in a couple more videos talking about all kinds of different hot topics, controversial discussions as it relates to this practice. If you would like my opinion on something, please leave a comment in the down bar below, because I would love to hear what other people were curious about. But I've got a little list, but I do want engagement. So, ask away and we'll see what happens. So you all take care, and I will see you all again soon.